To be honest with you, I'm not sure where it went wrong. I mean, I had a relatively normal childhood as far as I know. I had the same memories everybody else did. I just kind of, went outside and played, spent time in the Cub Scouts. Good boy, good grades, perfect kid. And then something changed. From that point, my life became about music. And not just about music, but about music culture. About looking a particular way and listening to a particular style of music and playing a particular style of music. All of a sudden, it wasn't enough just to move through the world. All of a sudden, there had to be some type of art. There was a passion and creativity, just some way of expressing something, anything. It was vital. It was important. It was life itself. And then it stopped. 1991, Huntington, West Virginia, my first guitar wall. On the left is Dad's acoustic. That was pretty much destroyed one night. The next one over, the white one, is a PV Foundation. That was my first bass guitar, which I dearly loved until I traded it. The white one on the right, the second from the right, is a stage guitar given to me by Hooley's dad, and when we were dating. And then when we broke up, he told me to leave his daughter and take the guitar. And then, of course, on the end is the blue one, and that's the infamous Strat that was sold in order to fund Lori's engagement ring. But in the middle, that's the number one. That's the guitar that a good friend of mine helped me pick out at Pied Piper, and that's the one that I first started to mod. The pickups have already been changed, the paint has already been stripped, the inlays have already been changed, but it began life as a a Squire Bullet. This is her final form, a Seymour Duncan humbucking pickup in the bridge, and a Strat single coil in the neck, a 3-position switch. The tech that I had wire it didn't understand why I wanted it that way, but I wanted it to play 80s music. I wanted it to play the music that I listened to. Really clean up front. But the back was built for glam metal, hair metal, playing Rat, Dokken, Van Halen when I could figure out 5 notes in a row. The main problem was over the years we'd both go through a lot of changes. This is what became of her. The headstock is broken. The nut has worn out. The frets are pitted. The ends are starting to sprout. The neck has a warp. The body is broken where the neck connects to it. The pickups had all sorts of problems. And no matter what I did, every time you seemed to touch the strings and your mouth to a microphone, it seemed to burn a hole in your lip. The finish has been stripped off. It's been scratched beyond belief. It almost can't even hold paint anymore. The pots don't work, the switch is malfunctioning, and half of the screws that go into the pick guard are stripped. It's done. It's finished. And so was I. I just didn't know it yet. I thought I was fine. I thought this was fine. But it wasn't. Long story short, in November 2023, I have surgery. I have a rapid unexplained weight loss. I get sent to the ER. My blood pressure can make diamonds. My stomach is killing me. My A1C, which I don't even know what it is now at 14 plus. And depression and anxiety have apparently moved into my house and set up permanent residence. The doctor in the ER keeps staring at me and tells me I can't figure out why you're not dead or in a coma. Well, there's good news. I'm supposed to be treating my body like a temple, and I'm treating it like an amusement park. My house is trashed. My health is trashed. Everything seems to be falling apart. And I decide it's time to do something different. And I do for 12 months. I make huge changes. But it's not quite there yet. I suddenly regret throwing that guitar away. I wish I'd kept it. And then I remembered I stripped it for parts. In the middle of all of my parts bin, moving every time I do a new project, is that Seymour Duncan pickup. It's time for a new project. It's time to quit pretending that all of this is about the guitars. It's time to admit what this really is. It's time to go back in time, to embrace my youth, to be rebuilt, to be remade stronger, to become the $36.13 man. I know that hyperbole is my friend, but I'm not kidding. $36.13. That's all it takes to bring this sweet beauty to my door. It's another one of those online auctions, and at this point, I'm pretty sure the folks in North Georgia are looking to know where I live. MGS Prime, baby. Mini Guitar Society Prime. So it hits the bench, and of course the first thing I notice out of the box is it's got an issue with the bridge. I look through the bin and guess what? I've got a full one intact. The one I have is a direct replacement. Just take the old one off, put the new one on, make sure that the ground is connected, bingo, bango, and I am finished. Let's pop that pick guard off and see if it's got room underneath. And now is where we run into the fun part of these minis. Again, you have to take the neck off in order to get the pick guard off. Have you ever heard the expression, I'm not smart, but I can be taught? I'm not entirely sure I can be taught. Let's fast forward to get to the good stuff. And now I run into something new on the headstock. It seems the company logo, which normally is either stamped or printed or in some cases stuck on with a sticker, is actually individual letters that are glued. So, let's get out the handy-dandy trusty heat gun and see, without warping the neck or permanently disfiguring the thing, if I can just take the letters off. Have you ever heard the expression that pain is an excellent teacher? Well, these little metallic letters get pretty hot, and so the pain teaches me things. It teaches me not to do that again, ever, at all. And so eventually I do manage to get these off using an old guitar pick. And then it's just a matter of taking some steel wool to it and smoothing it all out. It was at this point that Rob realized he might have messed up. I wonder if that pickup will actually fit in there. If you've watched a few of these, you probably are very well aware at this point that this is really just a series of me making mistakes and then trying to make corrections for those mistakes. Turns out the pickup does actually fit in there, which is nice because the JB Seymour Duncan is about $100 pickup, and it's really going to scream if I can figure out how to get it all back together. Take out the original pickup, put the new one in, and then rewire it. Of course, it's more complicated than that, but it dawns on me, especially if you've seen one or two of these, that you've probably seen most of this before. Still, this one was a little bit more persnickety, and I say that specifically so I can use the word persnickety. It was hard to get the wires to match up, and then I had to solder them together, and then of course I got it all wrong, so I had to cut the wires and resolder it again, and then put the coating on it that I like to use, and then get the heat gun out and shrink the coating in order to hold the solder in place with the green grass growing all around, and the green grass growing all around. Still, it does kind of minimize the noise, even though it's a humbucking pickup. You don't want to have noise. Feedback, yeah, but noise, no. From this point forward, it's pretty much standard operating procedure. I get the pick guard set, I put the new bridge on, I go ahead and mount that new bridge, and then I will connect to the neck, and then because there are some micro scratches on the pick guard as well as on the body, I'm going to get out the trusty Meguiar's polish, and I'm going to put it all over the pick guard and all over the body and clean that stuff up, maybe even add a little bit of wax into it. You'll notice that I'm doing this by hand, and a lot of that is because I noticed after I did the telly that using that buffer actually added swirls into the paint, and that just frustrates me. Me being me, I changed the knobs as far as the color goes just because I like that. Go ahead and get that neck set in. This one needed a shim as well, so a little bit of Elmer's came into play. And then it's just time for me to restring it. I put tins on it this time, a little thicker. Maybe that'll help with tuning stability. And since you've made it this far, let me give you a sample.